card tool. Okay, you're paying me money. I'm going to go either put that money into a liability that's going to lose money, or I'm going to put it into an asset that's going to make me money. Well, here's the game summed up. Here's what rich people do. They take earned income, they buy passive income. Earned income, passive income. Earned income, put it to work. Earned income, put it to work. Okay, now this is making me money. I take that money, put that to work. Okay, now I can refinance this property, pull my money out, put that to work. My money's always got to work. It's always going to go to work.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Banking on It podcast, the podcast you guys can bank on. So we have an awesome guest right now. I'm really excited, Scott Innocente. Scott, if you want to do your own little bio intro, I don't want to miscredit you at all. And get started from there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Scott Innocente, I'm a local real estate agent in Windsor, Ontario. I got into the real estate game about 3.5 years ago. I was working at a government rat race job, dead end, no light at the end of the tunnel. Came across a couple great people, great books that kind of changed my mind on finances and led me realize that there's a better way than just working 35 years at a job you hate and then retiring and dying. So I just started going down the real estate path. I basically went all in, quit my job, became an agent, started buying real estate. And now I'm kind of focused on helping other people achieve the same thing. And I find that most people it doesn't take a lot of book knowledge to buy real estate, really. I think people mostly have a psychological block. We've all been brought up to be slaves to the system. We've been brought up to be employees. We've been brought up to not become financially free. So I try to help people break that psychological mold that we've all been bred into. That's my goal anyways.
Yeah, so that's exactly why I had Scott on the show, because we share such similar views on everything from life to, the mindset you have to have going into finance, because, it's not just about having wealth to invest. You have to know where to put your money, where to flow it. And the education system just doesn't show people that. And it enslaves people, not in the way back in the day, but I mean, enslaves them in their 9-to-5 job. And, it's
modern day slavery.
Yeah, it really is. And it's very hard to escape it once you're 50. And I'm not saying you can't, it just makes it a lot more difficult when you've accumulated debt throughout your whole life, and it's bad debt. And they don't teach that debt can be good and can be used to take advantage of more opportunity. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the inflations that are going through the world right now, causing a lot of issues and kind of what's causing that. Because I know, Scott, we know a lot of people just think, oh, inflation's natural. But that's just simply not true. It's caused from overprinting money. Well, printing money in general. It's not overprinting, just printing money in general is a terrible thing. And I know, Scott, you think the same thing, right?
Yes, 100%. So yeah, like inflation actually is natural, but not like this, right? It's typically they try to keep it tame, right? But because of our monetary system, which is backed by nothing, it's fiat
built on sand.
Yes, they have to continually print money to prop the system up. It's just, you will get inflation inevitably. Unfortunately, it's gotten out of control because you print too much money and then shut down the economy. So you have no more production of goods and then more chasing a limited supply of goods. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's going to happen. Now, any imbecile would know this. And the fact that our leaders somehow either didn't, or willfully were blind, or did it through corruption or whatever the case was, I don't know. But it's actually kind of insane and lets me know that you basically can't trust the monetary system. You can't trust the people in political power.
Yeah. So, yeah, you have to really rely. You're really by yourself. There's a lot of people that think like Scott and I, but you have to really, trust your gut, know where to go to. And like, that's kind of why I do what I do today, is to really help, you as well, is to help people understand why these things are happening and why you should really not just rely on the government to do all the dirt. Well, not even the dirty work, but to help support you, right? Because it actually leaves us worse off. And yeah, I know my podcast's going to get shut down now because the new bill they put in, but yeah,
no doubt.
That's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ways the government enslaves people is to give handouts and to give CERB checks and social assistance and daycare and all these things. And it keeps you kind of like, you're comfortable. You think you're comfortable, but you're really, enslaved. And not everybody wants to be financially free, right? Some people are fine with that lifestyle. That's cool. Like there's a lot of trade-offs that come with the goal of financial freedom. But, if you're looking around at people that are living a different lifestyle than you and that can go on 10 trips a year or can buy the big giant 2-story house with pool and still have money left over and can buy the nice car, or retire early. If you're looking at those people and saying, okay, how do they do it? You have to look at what they're doing and listen to them, because the system is going to tell you the opposite, which is debt is bad, saving is good, pay off your mortgage as quick as possible, be mortgage free, blah, blah, blah. So you're gonna never be able to get ahead because our system is inflationary. You can't save your way to financial freedom. It doesn't. You used to be able to, because the value of the dollar would increase over time, right? If you have a gold-backed dollar, it's very anti-inflationary. So what would happen is goods would become cheaper in gold terms, would be worth more. Well, and if a proper monetary system, that's what would happen is goods would come down over time.
Yeah.
But as we all know, prices go up over time. But there's an interesting way somebody put this to me, and it finally dawned on me. It's not just that prices are increasing; it's that your dollar is being continually devalued. Every time you have money, it's devalued. I don't understand this either. Every time I go to the bank and get a mortgage for $500,000, they create $500,000 out of thin air.
And it's at a 1-to-9 ratio. So if you put in 100,000, they're able to print 900,000 or whatever it is.
So it's not just the government printing money. The banks also have a license to print money.
Wow.
Loans. So every time I get a loan for mortgage, keep in mind, I've got, 10 mortgages myself. I created myself, 10 million, 11, $15 million of fiat money out of nowhere. And I've devalued the Canadian currency by $15 million because it was north. And
so you're on the 1% side that people are actually ahead of the curve, but everyone else gets tanked. Like if everyone actually understood this, there'd be a lot less, there's just a bigger gap growing between the poor and the rich because of that reason, correct?
Yes. Now, typically the gap's always growing, by the way. It always has been, always will be. It's growing at a slower pace. Now it's being accelerated ridiculously, but the gap is always growing and it will continue to grow. So you either get on the right side of the gap, stay where you are, and get burned by inflation, monetary inflation, the devaluation of your currency. And that's my point. There is no middle ground. People middle ground, which is pay off my mortgage and save money. It's not a middle ground. Your currency is being devalued. You're losing when you're in the middle. That's one of the biggest things for me. I think a lot of people are afraid to take the step into like real estate or investing. But when I realized finally that I can't just save money, because the statistic I read is that the government prints about 7% more money per year. The money supply is increased by about 7% a year. That's in good times. That's in normal times. Now, percent. So even in a normal year, if you have $100,000 in the bank, by the end it's 93, and then 87, 86, whatever.
Yeah,
it's just going to continue going down. You're going to say, "What happened? I have all this money saved up. Still broke. Why can I still only go on one trip a year?" Because your currency is being devalued.
100%. So, and this is something I really want to get off here, but this is no new thing. This was around when Caesar was emperor. He was clipping the gold dollar and putting more money in circulation. So with that said, you said inflation's natural. Is that because gold is a limit? Like when we did back it by gold, or like resources are limited? Is that because
sorry, it's not natural. It's actually unnatural. It's only natural because of our system.
Okay, so Keynesian economics.
Yes, if we had a proper hard dollar, right, which a limited supply like Bitcoin or something, then what we would see the opposite, which is prices come down over time. Gold was the best store of value because it's very difficult to mine, and it's a big market, so you can flood the system with gold. 1% to 2% a year, you can increase the supply of gold on the market. So it was still a little bit inflationary, but not really. And that's why, because gold's the hardest to mine, that's why it became the currency, because you literally can't, no matter how it's too expensive and too tough to mine gold. Now, of course, when you put something that's good, which is the gold standard, in the hands of corrupt politicians, they're going to corrupt it.
Exactly.
happened over time, right? They flipped the gold, they lowered the gold in the coin. And then what happens also is it becomes centralized. You have like 5 or 6 world banks that control the gold. So you don't have control over your gold. You can't really use it. You're not going to go pay for your house in a gold bar. So it ends up becoming it's almost inevitable that it's going to be corrupted. And that's basically what happened. And the problem with our system now is it's so much easier to corrupt because you have politicians on 4-year terms.
Yeah.
And their goal is to get reelected. So they don't, what's better, right? Let people go hungry or print money, right? They're going to print money every time. Raise taxes or print money. So inflation is a tax. When they print money, it devalues your dollar. That is a tax. You're being taxed. Your dollar is going away.
100%.
But in the middle class and the general lay person, most people don't understand finances. It took me a decade to learn what I'm talking about right now. I didn't understand this. Well, 90% of the world doesn't understand what's happening. If I see my taxes go up, I'm going to call my politician and say, what the hell are you doing? If they print more money, I won't even know. So that's why they do it.
That's why it's called the silent tax, is because you just don't know. You don't. And it's incredible that more people see, this is where you see the corruptness come through, because they don't teach this in your schooling system. They won't teach this to you in college.
That's intentional.
Yeah. And it's 100% intentional. And you have to really go out there, and it's like you have to be a warrior and fight for your own ground, because if you don't, you're going to get trucked by all the bigger guys.
Yeah, there's no neutral ground.
No,
you're on one side of the battlefield.
That's why I think, most people grow their finances though on the offensive. They want to get rich really quick. And I believe in finding guaranteed assets that are going to grow. Because, even if you do make a boatload of money in some crazy speculative stock, where that money flows to next is as crucial as making that money, because you could lose it, and you're going to lose it over time more and more because you just don't understand the basics of economics. And that's why it's so crucial to have a guaranteed growing asset, whether that's real estate. Personally, for me, dividend paying whole life insurance, everyone knows me for that. And they're like, Matt, why are you putting your money in life insurance? I'm like, because my money goes up while your money falls during economic recessions. And that's where I want to lead to, is like, what do you think the next 5 years is going to look like for, like, I know we all know we're going, well, not all of us, but you and I believe there's going to be a recession. I think personally, it's going to be one of the biggest ones we see in our lifetime, just because how much money we've printed, and printing money fuels bigger boom bust cycles.
Yeah, we might already be in the recession. The stats are always lagging, right? So I don't really trust the stats. So we might already be in one, but it's a weird time. I don't, I always operate under the rule that I don't try to predict the market. I don't try to predict cycles. The cycles will happen. I'm not stupid enough to say that they won't. I just don't know when they will. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know if it's a 6, 12, 18-month thing, or if it's a 5 or 10-year thing. I don't know, and I don't really care. What I look to do is buy great cash flowing assets at the market, adjusted for risk, right? Now we're in a rising rate environment. If I'm running my numbers, they're going to be at higher interest rates. I'll look for great deals. I know the market here very well. I know the best locations. I know the best properties. I'm going to scoop up assets while everybody else is running or staying on the sidelines. Because what's going to happen typically is, in these situations, is people are going to wait for the perfect time. They're going to try to time the exact bottom. They're going to miss it. And then the government's going to come out and say, okay, we're done raising rates. We're dropping rates now. Market's going to go nuts. You missed your opportunity. You missed the bottom. It'll happen like that. So we always I don't try to time the top or bottom. I'm always buying strategic assets that make money in any market. So
I agree with you. You can't time the market, and trying to time the market is useless if you're going to be investing for cash flow anyways. And looking at it as a business. I know Dan always talks about that. And I actually met Scott at his real estate seminar, and that's how we actually are here right now. And I learned so much from that, because I'm like, before that, I'm like, well, I'm going to wait till the recession happens. And by that time, your emotions come into play, and it makes it that much harder, whether, the correct way is just to go into it looking at it as a business, not caring where the bottom is, or trying to predict the market, and just getting in, because if you're using it for cash flow, it doesn't matter anyways. So yeah, that's something I learned. And also location, location, location.
Yeah,
But
it's so
yeah.
true. I mean, you've already, for anybody that is trying to predict the market, you've already missed the top, right? So you would have had to predict that the top was March, and then you have to predict the exact bottom, which you won't be able to do. So you prices are already down in some places 20%, 30%. Is that already the crash? Like I would have asked you 6 months ago, hey, if you can get this duplex for 100 grand less, you would have probably said, oh yeah, I would buy that for sure. And now here we are. And what are people going to do? Well, yeah, I said I'd buy it, but it's going to come down further. And another thing as well is like people think they have the for. We're not even really in a tough time right now. It's not. It might happen soon, but it's not really tough yet. What's going to happen is just like you said, the emotions are going to come up, and 99% of the people are not built for a recession. Dan, right? Dan's a beast, by the way. Owns like 200-300 properties plus himself. Was buying during recessionary times when everybody else was running into the sidelines and telling him he was stupid. And what I'm going to say is that when this happens again, if things get really bad, everybody that said, oh, Dan got lucky, or Dan, I would have bought if I was Dan, right? They're going to do the same thing this cycle. They're going to do the same thing. And I know this because I used to do this myself when I was in the rat race, when I didn't have the right mindset in the stock market, right? Whenever we dip, the China trade war, I remember the prices dropped 50% in the stock market. I bought nothing. In fact, I sold at a discount. I missed every cycle. I kept doing, my emotions had me on an eternally recurring pattern, missing the boat.
I know.
Saying I do it, my emotions take over. I don't do it. So now I'm prepped for the recession.
Exactly.
I don't have any emotion.
I love it.
Zero emotion. If I bought something tomorrow for $350 that cash flowed $400 a month, and on paper it dropped to $250, and I had a negative $100K loss on paper, I wouldn't flinch even 1 second.
No. Well, you still own that. You still own that asset, and just like with the stocks, you still own a piece of that corporation. If you actually believe in what you're investing, which you always should do that. You should always buy things that you understand and believe in. Well, that's how not everyone believes that, but
no, you're exactly right. Because what does Warren Buffett say? My favorite holding period is forever. Why would ever? How many people would have tried to time Coca-Cola stock or Nike or whatever, and the odds of you getting that right in this 6-month time frame are zero. Yep. Zoom up 100 years and a stock chart's like this. That's going to be the same for real estate. Like in the short term, emotions win. Emotions and fear wins. In the long term, fundamentals win. Real estate in Canada I don't know of any better fundamentals in the world. We are millions of homes short. And they plow 400 to 500 immigrants, 1,000 immigrants a year into the country because they vote liberal. Liberals want to get, it's not a business decision. It's a political decision, in my opinion. Not here to argue about it. I'm here to buy real estate. Go look at other socialist countries, Switzerland, Denmark. Go look at California. Prices are double, triple what they are here. In Windsor specifically. And people think the game's over. No. And the money has to go somewhere. So, okay, asset prices are coming down because rates are going up. But guess what's happening? Rents are going up, right? So the money's being filtered just to a different part.
Yeah.
And rents are up 16% in the past 3 months in Windsor, or something crazy, right?
And
making up for it in other ways.
Yeah, I like where you say money's always going to go somewhere. Money's always flowing. So when these things do happen, when immigrants come in, it not only the housing but everything around that area will go up. so
they're usually coming here with money.
Yeah, okay.
They're injecting money into the system as well a lot of the time. If you're a millionaire in China and you're under a dictatorship and you don't trust your banks and government, what are you going to do? I'm going to get to a free country like Canada or the US. I'm going to get my money over there. And you're going to be me going or one of my kids. I'm going to funnel my money through them. You don't think like that's happening big time here. So you send your kids over for school. They end up staying India, China, whatever. And so they're coming here with money. And people think of immigration as like refugees with suitcases and nothing to their name. No, that's a different program. We're talking like we get the best of the best around the world. Other countries are actually pissed because they lose all their best people to countries like Canada and the US. So it's a big economic driver. Like it's massive. And when you combine money coming into the system with a shortage of anything, whether it's food, water, or real estate, you're gonna come up to a floor eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And prices are gonna readjust higher, like they always have for the past 1,000 years. You know, I don't know when. I'm not trying to say like, oh, in 6 months. That I don't know. I don't think in 20 years.
Yeah. That's the crucial thing. We don't care when this is going to happen, because you just can't rely on I mean, some people can really time the market. Some people can really, they understand, but that's like less than 1% of people, right?
Yeah, I think some people get lucky sometimes, right?
True.
And they're right. Can you time the market consistently every time for a decade or 20 years?
If you get lucky.
But like the odds mathematically,
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing about a recession since I started in real estate 4 years ago. Anybody now, those people have been calling for a recession for 4 straight years. Now they're right, but they missed 150, 200% gain.
Yeah.
It's the cash flow, principal pay down, and everything else, and the experience and knowledge and skill that it takes to like get to the next level. And now they're right, and they think they're smart, but I just made
within that time frame
100x on my money.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the crucial thing. And it bothers me because the people who say that exact same thing, oh, the market's going down, they wait 4 years, don't do anything with their life. Now we'll go like, I told you so. And then you laugh and other people go, oh, they're right. So then next time this happens, they listen to those people.
It's so true. And I think the reason people listen to pessimism is because it's justification to not do anything. And most people are afraid to do it. So they have itching ears, right? They want somebody to tell them they're right for not taking action, like subconsciously, right? Because then I don't have to go take a risk or put $80,000 into a duplex or whatever, right? I can just live my comfortable life and not have my own conscience beating me down saying, no, you got to do more with your life. I can just quiet myself and whatever. So you can't seek out. And then you'll have a multimillionaire come along and say, here's what you got to do. If you want to get to my level, you go buy real estate, you do this, do that, do the insurance that you're doing, do all these. This is what you got to do. Yeah, but my colleague that makes 60 grand a year owns nothing, says that the market's going to crash. I'm going to listen to him.
It's so ironic
so
that that's exactly how it goes. It's exactly how it goes. And that's why the wealthy get wealthier. Exactly that.
Yeah, and I'm here to change as many people's minds as I can, but at the same time, I don't really care because you're the one that's going to be renting off me, right? You don't do this, like you're not going to be able to afford a house because our country's housing crisis is really severe, and I'll just have more tenants to choose from.
Yeah, and it's
whatever.
It's so crucial to start today. Like people who are saying, I'm waiting for the next recession. And that's why we say, just don't wait, get in right away, because your opportunity will then seek you, because then you're now playing on the offensive. I know playing on the defenses is very crucial, but if you have liquid cash flow and it's just sitting in a bank doing nothing, the best thing you can do is start looking at assets to gain, because they always appreciate during recession. So,
yeah. And you're guaranteed, right? The money in your bank account is guaranteed in our inflationary monetary system to lose 7% of its value per year.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you bought a piece of real estate and it decreased at 7% a year, well, same as if you had your money in the bank.
And the crazy thing is they say, yeah, but it's secure. It is not secure whatsoever. If you have over 100K in your bank, they do not have to. If you go to try to take that 100K out to go liquidate it in some way, I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if you wanted to, if there's like an emergency situation, you know how long a process that takes, and you're not even guaranteed to get that money. Maybe 100K, but that's it. And that's why.
Or you could piss the government off, say the wrong thing on YouTube, and they seize
get your account locked. Yeah.
So you're right. It's not necessarily safe. Luckily, we live in like a first world country with pretty strong laws that seem to be slowly getting eroded. But the former safety that I used to think we had here is I'm no longer really confident in that safety. It's a great point. If after everything that's happened in the past 2 or 3 years, you have 100% trust in our government and financial political institutions, then you got to open your eyes.
Well, either open your eyes or continuing drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
And I mean, nothing will happen to you because you're good little sheep, but
well, you'll never get ahead financially, but you stay in your little box. That's fine.
The government will incentivize you for sure.
Yes. Well, they incentivize you to remain in the middle class and to remain middle class mindset.
Yeah.
Middle class is not a dollar amount to me.
No.
Rich is not a dollar amount to me. Rich is a mindset.
Yeah.
It's I know what to do with my money.
And that's exactly what Robert Kiyosaki always talks about. That's why if we all had to restart over, the wealthy will still become wealthy and the poor will still become poor.
The middle class would end up in the middle class.
And other countries need entrepreneurs. And he always talks about this. So if, our government isn't doing us justice, we just move to a different country. They need us more than Canada needs us because they want to become communist.
It's true. Or a different state, right? The United States has very different laws across states, some more friendly to entrepreneurs than others.
Yeah.
And that's why you're seeing mass migration to Florida, Texas, Arizona, because they allow for entrepreneurs to flourish and get rid of blocks instead of create them. And that's another reason that we're in a housing crisis, is because go try to build something in this country.
Yeah, you guys always talked about that.
You're going to hit 20 layers of red tape, and you're going to hit development fees, this fee, this levy, green levy, this levy, carbon levy. Like, you can't build anything here affordably. That's why everything that's built is $1 million plus. You can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, and I wanted to really go back because the whole banking thing, a lot of people don't think they could store their wealth in other things. They're like, it's an emotional part, right? They're like, I've always been with the bank. This is what I know. This is what I trust. But the banks aren't in it for you. They're in it for themselves. That's why they're such a crazy growing thing, because even during a recession, they make so much money and their stock continues to rise.
Record profits year after year.
That's why, I even put my money in life insurance because it's growing guaranteed, and they invest in government bonds, US Treasury bonds, or just Treasury bonds in general. It's more guaranteed than a bank would to give you your money because of Assurus and what they do as an organization. So if by any chance the insurance company defaults, can't pay, whatever, I'm able to take out up to 85% of what I had. So if I had $1 million, I still get $850,000 or whatever that number would be. And also on top of that, if it's under 60 grand, I could get that full 60 grand. I could get a full 60 grand reimbursement or whatever it is. At the bank, you just can't see that. And the banks would give you a hard time if that happened. You'd have to go fight for it. If this happened to you with a life insurance company, you don't have to fight. They will make sure you're looked after. And that's why looking for other assets to invest in a banking account is not an asset whatsoever. It's depreciating. It's a liability, if anything, especially in today's market. That's why it's so crucial to always look for that next opportunity to grow, because if you're not growing, you're literally decaying in this situation.
Yeah, I think it's mostly lack of education for people.
Yeah.
It's just like with diet or whatever, right? Most people don't know how food works, so they don't eat, and that's why they can't.
Yeah. I don't want to come off like aggressive. Like, if you guys are watching this or listening in, I'm not making fun of you or demoralizing you if you don't know this. It's just, I'm just telling you the truth. And I only learned this 2 years ago, and I'm still young. It's just, I'm able to use this as that much more compounding. When you guys start, when you're 30 or 40, I will have started when I was a teenager learning about this stuff. And it just helps that much more when you start right away. Learning.
Yeah, we're not smarter than anybody. We're not anything special. We just happen to learn the right way to do money from smarter people than us. And now we're literally here just trying to pass it on, because it's such a life-changing thing when it's like the Matrix, right? You take the red pill or blue pill. And it's like, when you take the red pill, you can't go back. You just can't. You see, oh my God, I was playing the game wrong.
Yeah.
And the game I was playing, I can never win.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we tell other people about this? Because I want to pay it forward almost,
Yeah. And a lot of people make the assumption, or not the assumption, but they kind of laugh at me because I'm I'm nowhere ahead of them because I'm still in my mom's house. Like I'm still in my own little, bedroom that I've grown up in. But that I still know the strategies that the wealthy are using. And it's just like how we go back. If we had to restart having the wealthy or the rich versus poor mindset, the rich are going to get ahead. The poor are going to still stay poor. So I'm simply just a messenger for you guys and showing you what I'm doing. And you could either take it or leave it. And yeah, I think anyone could develop the strategies and still teach them. But obviously action matters. And that's why I bring people like Scott on the podcast, because he actually takes the action. I'm still taking action. Trust me. I was looking up in North Bay to buy some real estate because housing prices are not nearly as high as they are in the Windsor Essex region. But I'm just in this weird stage where I'm able to leverage the financial strategies. I'm not worried to invest. I've limited my emotions when it comes to the stock market. And I've been in the market for 3 years now, and that's a lot more than not ever getting into it or not even looking into it. So yeah, that's why I have people like Scott for sure. Because action does matter.
Yeah. Nothing that we're saying here is get rich quick either, right? Like what you're doing right now and living at home, that's also sacrifice. Maybe you could go out and rent a $3,000 apartment a month.
Exactly.
You could go on 10 trips a year, but you're building your business, you're building your brand, you're saving money, and you're looking to put it to work. You're looking at real estate. It's going to take 3, 4, 5 years. Like sacrifice is a big part of the game.
Yeah, and
not buying the new car and having a $700 a month payment because that's going to bill you if you. Banks won't lend you money for your duplex if you do that.
And everyone, and here's the thing, this is what I've learned from becoming kind of more entrepreneurial than I used to be. You are going to have to you don't have to sacrifice, right? But to really get ahead, you have to, start thinking, you're going to automatically start thinking different. Like, wow, why is my cash flow or where's my income going? You're like, where are all my liabilities? Why am I paying $700 a month for a car when it's not growing my money for me, not doing anything, but making me look cool to people that you don't even need to impress? Especially where you're going, the Lambo probably won't be as cool once you have the money to buy a Lambo, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely take sacrifice.
Yeah, big time. And most people don't, in my experience, have the ability to sacrifice. They need the new house, they need the new car, they need the new clothes, they need to like play that game instead of saying, no, I need to spend the next 3 to 5 years building my foundation of financial freedom.
Yeah.
Buy real estate, invest, learn the game, talk to smart people. Then I'll buy that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed gratification is massive.
Yeah. It becomes spiritual. It literally becomes, I think you really become spiritual. And I know I'm a Christian, and I find when I follow the Bible, you see a lot of correlations between not finance, but personal development in general, and how certain things just correlate so much. And instant gratification is definitely one of those things when it comes to your finances.
Yeah, I'm a Christian as well, and it's like the book of life. Like it's teaching you how to live life. It bleeds into all areas of life, whether relationships, finances, business.
Mm-hmm.
You apply those principles from the Bible to life, they seem to fit any category. So I'm on board with you there.
Yeah. So that's something I want to talk about, like with growing your finances. We touched on it a little bit, but growing your finances from the ground up is the most important thing you could possibly do. I know, especially going into a recession, starting stable, growing your money stably is way better than putting it into a risk. Everyone's like more risk, more reward, but I don't believe in that. Ever since I realized there's assets out there that grow and you're able to liquidate those and leverage debt instead of obviously using cash to do those things. Like they're like, okay, but how am I going to invest when I put all my money away in the stock market? But there's better ways to do that. And, you could either do that with real estate, right? Real estate's leverageable. How do you feel about that?
That's a big thing people miss is the leverage of real estate. Yeah. And, everybody understands what leverage is like on a surface level, but when you really think about the leverage of real estate, it's insane. And the best example I use is you buy a house for 100K, put 20% down, that's 20 grand. If the market goes up 5%, your house is now worth 105. Market went up 5%, but what's your ROI on your 20,000? 5K to buy 20, which is what, 20%?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, 25%. I'm not good at math, but so you get a 5x leverage return for free on. Now go try to get a 5x leverage return in the stock market. You're going to be playing with naked puts and you put all your life at risk, and you're unlikely to be successful as well, because stock market's way more liquid, way more difficult, way higher delta. The swings are way higher. The best of them can't do that. But real estate is the tried and true. It's the safest, easiest, get rich for sure method in the world. Not get rich quick. You could probably do it quicker in Bitcoin or the stock market, but you're going to have to get lucky. You want to get rich for sure, you buy real estate. It's not the only strategy, right? I play the stock market. I'd love to hear more about your insurance stuff, but real estate's the foundation. Okay? You ever met somebody that owns 20 properties and you're like, that guy's an idiot?
Absolutely not.
If the bank is willing to lend you 80% loan to value for a piece of property, that's telling you that it's the safest asset class in the world, because they won't lend you 80% on anything else, business, Bitcoin.
They will loan. I mean, if you owned a life insurance policy, they could loan you up to 95%.
So there you go. It's probably, but that tells you,
because okay, I'll explain, because if you want to hear a little bit more, and I love where you're going with that, and using safe asset classes to grow guaranteed. So let's say your number out there to be financially free is $1 million. When you're first starting, you start off by saying, okay, how do I get $1 million? Oh, like this is how most people play their finances. Let me go invest my life savings into Bitcoin so I can get it tomorrow. And then they get crushed. The best way to think about this is, okay, how many homes do I need to own? And how many homes am I able to buy in a year? For me, I'd say, okay, how do I start out? I have a bias because life insurance, but life insurance for me is just that guaranteed asset that I'm able to grow off to the side and leverage that capital to go invest into real estate. So I have two things. I'm making my money work twice for me, and I'm investing in that guaranteed asset like real estate. We know that's a lot safer than the stock market, and more predictable.
And it's leveraged.
And you could, so you're making you could use it 3 times almost, you know? Sorry.
It's at least 3 times because you get.
Could you? Yeah, because it kind of cut out.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, real estate's the triple header. It's a leverage return, 5-to-1, free with almost no risk. The bank's taking all the risk, not you. Number 2, principal pay down. So even if your cash flow isn't that high, you're paying off $800-900 off the mortgage every month. It's forced saving, which again, that's leverage as well. You know, let's say your let's say your mortgage principal pay down is $1,000. Principal, not just mortgage payment. $1,000 a month times 12, that's $12,000 a year. You only put in 20 grand. In this example, right? Or obviously it would be a higher amount, but you're getting leveraged returns on cash flow, leverage returns on principal pay down, and appreciation. Yeah. And what happens to rents over time? They go up. So if I buy something today that's $400 cash flow, what's that cash flow going to be in 20 years? You think rents are going to be the same? You're insane.
Oh, it's going to be higher.
At least the rate of inflation, which is typically 2 to 3% core inflation. But here's the thing. Core inflation's a rigged system. They choose the basket of goods, which is typically anti-inflationary. That's why they choose it. Assets, which now housing is a limited asset in Canada, those rise at double the rate of core inflation because they're limited. So they'll use like bread and cereal, whatever they can manufacture easily. Yeah. Gas, which typically wasn't really a big deal because we have plenty of gas, but now they're putting restrictions on everything. So like they're, you want anti-inflation assets or assets that go with inflation. Real estate's one, not just for appreciation, but also for rent growth. You print more money, it goes to rent. You give people CERB checks, that's going to go to the rent. You give people a raise at their job, you make minimum wage $15. Guess what? It's going to make everything more expensive, but they're going to have more money, $3 an hour for the rest of their lives more to go to pay their rent. It's going to push rents higher. It's going to push real estate higher. It's going to, this is the way I look at it. Money, you give people money, right? Whether it's from their job or government gives you it or social assistance or whatever,
Yeah.
or loan, it filters through the economy in various ways, but it settles in assets. It might take 2-3 years to filter through the economy, then it settles in assets. That's why we didn't see massive inflation. Remember 18 months ago, they're like, inflation under control. Inflation like 2, 3, 4%. It's transitory. Money was still filtering through. Then it started settling. All of a sudden, real estate's jumping 20%, 20%, 20%. Has nowhere else to go. It's got to settle somewhere.
It has to. Yep.
And then it got out of control because they waited too long. So you don't, and even with rising rates, we're not going to see the effect of rising rates. It's going to take 12 to 18 months to filter through.
True. Very true.
Yeah. Then we'll settle, and then it will, continue its up and to the right trend as things always do. That includes stocks, real estate, and any other asset class, in my opinion.
Drop the mic. Absolutely. That's amazing.
People, you just got to understand the game. You got to understand money, understand how the game works. It's really lack of knowledge. Because
mindset and really mindset, right? Because
mindset's huge. It's, for me, the mindset is strengthened by this understanding, right? Oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Inflationary monetary system. If I leave money in the bank, they print 7% more money a year. That devalues my currency. I can't just leave it in the bank. Shoot, it eliminates that
feeling.
Safety net.
Yeah. People believe that the government's their safety net. If anything happens, I'll be good because I have a nice 9-to-5 job, and then they own no assets. And what happens? They get let go of their job. They have no safety net. What the real safety net would be having an emergency fund. And I believe in having an emergency fund, but most people are $400 away from insolvency. And when these things happen, because life happens, they have no protection. They don't even have a growing asset. They have a bank account where their money's getting, like we say, deteriorating, and they have no money to store away into an investment or anything. Even when the recession crashes, having that emergency fund, even if you have your 9-to-5 job, you don't even have money to put into a discounted price. So they're just totally thrown off guard, and they're like, you really get trapped in the system. You can't grow out of it.
Well, it's very simple. For some reason, people feel totally comfortable going and buying a new car for 60 grand or a new pool for 80 grand. They have no problem with that. Tell them to put 80 grand down on a duplex, single family home. Oh, that's too risky. Like, are you insane? That's a guaranteed loss. This is almost a 99.9% guaranteed gain in money, but it's scary to them because their mind is backwards. And what's interesting, my parents were just middle class teachers, good jobs, all that stuff. They played the game the way they thought was right. Now they're retired and stuff. Where do you think all their wealth is?
Is it in a savings plan of some sort?
It's in their house.
Oh, okay.
It's in their personal residence.
Nice.
That's everybody's wealth. Yeah, by the time people retire, most people in the middle class, all their wealth is in their personal residence because it's for savings. You paid off the mortgage for 35 years. It's appreciating at 3 to 4% a year. You don't get rental income, but for your personal residence.
Yeah.
By the time you retire, you got $1 million asset.
You're right.
So why didn't you buy 10 of them in your 5-year working career? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because you bought a pool, you upgraded your house 10 times, you bought 17 different cars, you did X, Y, and Z. You went on trips every year. You didn't sacrifice. So you played the game wrong. You didn't buy assets. You bought liabilities and saved your money and paid off your mortgage. So that's my point. If you're out there and if you find yourself in the middle class and you own a house, just understand by the time you retire, most likely that's going to be your biggest nest egg. And if you accept that and say, yeah, it probably will be, then go buy 10.
Exactly.
But over the next decade, buy one a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, even having a mortgage, you have to pay that mortgage. So it's almost like forcing someone to save up, and people need to think of more of their assets as just, most of their assets, you don't have to pay interest, right? You have, unless you're leveraging, obviously, but just putting aside that dollar cost averaging into the market or into obviously saving up for a rental property, whatever that asset could be, just start thinking like that and just thinking ahead of a game. You can't constantly be thinking of what's going to happen tomorrow. How can I look good tomorrow? You have to think, how can I start how can I buy that Ferrari? That's why people who have big goals and big ambitions, they always end up hitting them because it forces them to think ahead, compared to how do I buy that nice Subaru WRX Impreza, whatever it is, and look cool in front of all my friends right now. And that always bugged me. How can people spend 400 grand on the car and my parents still have to work a 9 to 5 job? And that's just always something that's kind of ticked me the wrong way. And that's why we're talking today.
Exactly. How do you do it? Not like, oh, I can't afford that. How do I afford that? Okay, well, if I sacrifice and buy one piece of real estate every year for the next decade,
Mhm.
by the time I retire, if it appreciates at 3 to 4% a year, and I have 10 of them, and it's paying me $300 cash flow a month for the rest of my life, and the principal is being paid off at $1,000 a month. Oh my God! By the time I'm retired, I'm worth 20 million.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, by the time I'm retired, I'm worth 1 million, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's in my personal residence.
And that's the thing though. So that's a strategy you can do. But once you start to actually, taking action, doing these things, you start finding loopholes around the way and more opportunity seeks you. And it's like an invisible hand, like in the markets. Once you start actually practicing these things, God kind of
you meet the right people.
You really do.
Somebody that gives you a little piece of advice, an opportunity presents itself, a business opportunity, a partnership. Hey,
Exactly.
I'm selling my house. But if you're not thinking that way, you wouldn't even know if the opportunity came up.
Yeah. I have a saying. This is the saying. I think I don't know who says it, but I have it saved in my phone for this reason. Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. So, you have to prepare for these things. And that just leads me right back to my what I was saying earlier, having a emergency fund or some form of pool of money where you can take out for when the markets drop, and you've already thought about it and not let your emotions come into play, because you have to prepare for these things. Obviously, we both know that there's a recession coming. We don't know when that's going to be, but our emotions are out of it, right?
We don't know when it's going to be or for how long.
Yeah.
People should understand that as well. In the middle of the recession, you should be looking for opportunities. When it comes, you should be looking for discounted assets
all the time,
not at the bottom, like in the middle of in the eye of the storm, when there's blood in the streets.
Yeah.
That's what you're buying. Cash flow. You're buying cash flowing assets, right? So that's reality.
True. Very true. That's actually exactly what my mentor, Chris, says. He's always like, cash flow is king. Cash flow, not cash is king. Cash flow is king.
Yeah. Most people are saving money to save money because they think it's safe. You should be saving money to buy opportunities, to buy that duplex in a great location at a discount, to buy that business, start that business, okay, I'm going to get my life insurance set up here. That's going to pay me. I can use that. Like, you should be saving to put that money to work. The middle class is typically saving because they think that's their safety. And it's the opposite of that. It's being eroded at 7%.
Yeah. And
because of our system. So it's a big mindset.
So yeah, that's just to clarify on the life, because I have to make sure I'm being clear here, because I am licensed. Like, you're not going to be able to grow your wealth inside of like a term insurance policy, universal life insurance policy. I know what the illustrations say in universal life. Like, this is not for you, Scott, but a lot of people try to sell what I teach people. They use it as a banking alternative because you're growing your cash and able to liquidate it and give out yourself loans for a cheaper rate than market. But people were like, okay, but you're only getting 6% returns. Why don't you go for universal life? It's tied to the problem is it's tied to the stock market, and the returns never live up to the 12% to the high 9, 10, 11, whatever. You're not going to get those in those policies, and you're not able to access that cash. You're not able to bring it to the bank. Whole life insurance, dividend paying whole life insurance is a tier 1 asset to the bank. You're guaranteed to be able to get a loan essentially. If you want to get a policy loan, you can do that as well. So that's just what I want to clarify, Oz. You need a true guaranteed way to leverage your money. And that's one of the only, you can't do it with anything else. Like in the insurance business, you have to have dividend paying whole life insurance.
Yeah. It sounds like people they're going to chase the high returns.
Yeah.
a lot of times, right? Instead of taking like the solid, safe, slow and steady, leverageable asset that you're talking about, they're going to say, oh, I can get 12% over here. But then it's tied to the stock market and then it comes and now you're absolutely
and unlegible and you can't leverage it. So they just don't understand leverage
they can't leverage it because it's higher risk. So the banks won't leverage
the banks don't, it's not even on a tier list for the bank.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
So the product that you're talking about is unique and the reason that you're so hyped up about it. Yeah. And I've heard this from a few people now, so I know you're not the only one, but it's a different product and it's on a lot of times on paper, the returns look smaller. Like even on the best real estate, the return is smaller. Oh, your cash flow is only 5 or 6%. And on this one on Drouillard, I can get 11%. Well, for 25 years, come and see which property made you more money. This A+ location is going to be double, triple the price. That Drouillard maybe has gone up 25%. Who wants to live there? Or whatever the case is, right? Like, so on the paper returns they're mirages, and there's the reason that the returns are higher, and it's generally because it's a less quality product or higher risk, of course.
Exactly.
But slow and steady freaking wins the race. 1% of the people either get lucky or have this unnatural ability to like just pick the right thing at the right time. 99% of us are not LeBron James or Wayne Gretzky or these natural born like beasts. We're the ones that have to grind our way to the top. So stop trying to get like
having as much control of your money is the most crucial part. Most people don't have control of their money. They think they do because it's in their bank account, which to a certain extent you do. But what do you think the banks are doing to you when you put your money into a bank? Do you think they're just storing it for you? No, they're actually taking it out and leveraging it themselves.
They probably actually have like no money. They have 1/10 of the money on their balance.
And that's the scary thing. So if a bank
stuff does go bad,
we've
seen it. We haven't really seen it in Canada. We've seen other countries. They will stop you from being able to withdraw your money, and the government will sanction it because they need to keep the banking system whole. So you will not be able to access your money. I know people think, oh, that's crazy. That's conspiracy. No, that's happened before. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen. And if things get really bad, it likely will happen. So it's not safe and liquid as you think it is. Everything seems fine until things go bad. And then you're like, oh shoot, I didn't think that was possible.
It's really about preparing for the worst. And it sounds terrible, but that's why most people, go bankrupt or they just didn't think it's possible. And these things do happen. Life happens. And it's all about taking back the control, like I said. So that's all I really got for that. Anything else you want to add?
No, man, I think we hit on a lot of topics here, and I hope people just like slowly wake up. We probably have people listening from all different, right? Some people are trying to like break out of the rat race. Some people are already out of it. But I think we hit on a lot of great topics. Anything else on the list there to discuss?
No, we could talk a little bit mindset wise, like if you want, because I think that's very important. Before you have your finances set up properly, honestly, your mindset will develop the more you take action, but it's taking that first step in the right direction that really helps people, I think, because it's hard to get over that first hurdle. And it's kind of like a snowball effect, right? So, maybe liquidating some of your money in the bank and investing in some assets. That's the first step. And it kind of, starts the snowball effect, right? Or whatever you want to touch on.
Well, that first one is always the hardest. That's why Dan and I's podcast is called Pull the Trigger, because that's what life's about ultimately. Like you might be the smartest guy in the room, but guess what? Dan always says it about himself. He's not the smartest guy. He's not the most educated, but I'll tell you what, he pulls the trigger more than anybody and he makes moves and most people simply don't. And that first one, the gap between your first move and knowledge, right? Some people are like, oh, I'm going to do it. But the gap between the first move and knowledge is the biggest. Once you make that move, each next move becomes easier and easier. So that's a great point. I think one of the biggest things as well is that stops people from making the first move is the ability to think long-term. Well, if I buy one property, I'm not going to be rich tomorrow. So they won't buy it. Well, it's going to take I need to buy 7 properties to like get enough cash flow to fund my lifestyle. That's going to take like 4 or 5 years. I'm not doing that. I'm going to mess with Bitcoin. I'm going to go mess with like the stock market. I'm going to try to double my money quick. Okay. Even if you did, which is very unlikely, say you double your money. Now go do it again.
Yeah.
And then do it again. And then do it again. Guess what? Then you get hit with recession. You're wiped out. You lost everything. So instead of taking that slow and steady path, which is a long-term path, because people can't project longer than 6 to 8 months, in my experience, they literally can't. When I'm talking in terms of decades, they're talking in terms of 10 months. It stops them from making the first move. And it makes, when you don't think 10 years, you take more risk. You take more. I have no problem buying a single family home right now for 350 grand that cash flows and holding it for 10 years. Like, but some people are like, oh, I got to flip it. I got to turn it. I got to get my money out like tomorrow. And then if I scale my money, then I can buy that Lambo in like a couple. Like, I'm not thinking that way. I'm like,
everyone's got a Lambo for a reason now. I mean, actually, that sounds bad because obviously we know people who have Lambos, but, it's the people who don't who make money in Bitcoin, like a lot of kids, like a lot of teenagers are making a lot of money and then ruining what they could have been by buying the instant gratification, buying into the instant gratification route, right? So
there's a lot of get rich quick people in the world, and most people are attracted to them. That's why if we had a get rich quick video, it'd probably get 10x the views. But most people are not going to get rich quick. You've already missed your boat 1,000 times on what could have been. You're likely missing it. But for most people, the Lambo and the house and the trips and the car and the jet is the result of decades. It's the fruit of decades of work and effort and mindset. Once in a while, it's the fruit of luck and timing and getting into an asset that just explodes like a Bitcoin or something like that. But that's just rare. But it seems, because there's so much media out there, it seems like it's normal. But like, I just don't encourage you to go down that path, because the odds of you, like, I don't know, 1 in hundreds of millions, 1 in millions. It's not that any million. I think there's like, I don't know, 600 millionaires or something like that. 6,000, I don't know. A relatively small number of millionaires, even in the US. Like, when I saw the number, I'm like, oh, that's it. I thought there'd be more.
It's because it's so oversaturated on your feeds on Instagram.
That's a good point.
And that's the thing. People only want to show you what their accomplishments are, and that's what social media does. The less time you spend on social media, looking at what other people are doing in their life, if they're not improving or like actually trying to help you, most of the time it's just gurus online telling you what's the big next move to get rich quick.
Yeah, which is not going to work. Sorry,
it won't work. It simply won't work. And even if that specific thing does work, it's not going to work over time.
Great point. Yeah, great point. Or if they do the right strategy, which is, hey, buy a bunch of real estate.
Yeah,
it's not going to be quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people bought. They did the right thing and they did it quickly. Like, say they got somehow 50 doors in 2 or 3 years. They might tell you that you can do that, but maybe you don't have the financial means, connections, or mindset to do it. So it's the wrong strategy for you. Like, it's possible. It's also possible for LeBron James to go to the NBA at 19 and be a starter. But not everybody's LeBron James. Not everybody's that guy you see on YouTube that just had that ability, that just had that capacity, had the right connections or the money to do it. So you got to like pick your guru. That's somebody that matches you, right? If I'm going to go to the NBA, I'm not going to go try to do what LeBron does, because he's a 6'8" beast,
a freak of nature,
right? Like, I'm going to go follow the guy that worked his ass off. Okay, what drills can I do? What fundamentals can I work on? How do I work on this? How do I start from the bottom? Because I don't have that frame. I don't have that. Whatever. I got to grind my way to the top. I'm going to find the right guru for me. I'm not going to be trying to go on the court and dunking over people and doing turnaround jump shots and jack from half court like Steph Curry. They're unique. So these gurus on YouTube, they're very rare people usually, if they are telling the truth, which a lot of them I don't think are.
And I got to add something, like, and I've been thinking about a lot. You have to play the cards you're dealt, and play them way more strategically than you already are. Because people take that phrase and say, oh, I just got to play the cards I'm dealt. I'm meant to be a garbage care worker. But it's playing your cards specifically to get ahead, because we all have that opportunity. If you're watching the video, now you know what you got to do to get ahead. Or you could say, if they took it the wrong way, oh, well, he's right. You got to play the cards you're dealt. I have to go to school. I have to make sure I get that nice stable income. But yeah, you have to now take what you know and what you see on the internet, because not everything's bad. There's a lot of good information out there. It's just you have to, like Scott's saying, find the person that relates mostly to you, and learn off of them, and don't take too many opinions, right? Don't, because everyone's going to have their own little niche and what they think is good and what they're, I could tell you about life insurance all the time, but there's so many ways to get to the top. We're just telling you how to take back control to guarantee that eventually you will be successful, and not base it off luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Take get rich quick and luck off the table. If it happens, do great, but don't shoot for that. Don't make that your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Here to tell you the slow, steady, get rich for sure way, which is just doing what wealthy people do and have always done, which is, and having a job is a great card. It's a card tool. Okay, you're paying me money. I'm going to go either put that money into a liability that's going to lose money, or I'm going to put it into an asset that's going to make me money. Well, here's the game summed up. Here's what rich people do. They take earned income, they buy passive income. Earned income, passive income. Earned income, put it to work. Earned income, put it to work. Okay, now this is making me money. I take that money, put that to work. Okay, now I can refinance this property, pull my money out, put that to work. My money's always got to work. It's always going to go to work. Either the middle class and poor, their money is either stagnant, with nothing, or losing, even if you're making 7% a year, you're only breaking pace with inflation, like you're
exactly. Yep.
I
made a video just on that, actually.
Yeah.
So they know.
So most of the middle class and poor, or they're buying liabilities, so their wealth is never growing. The game can be summed up that simply.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, your benchmark is inflation, not necessarily core inflation. Your benchmark is true inflation, because there's different inflation. There's core inflation, there's asset inflation, there's trip. If I want to go on vacations, okay, well, how much more are trips this year than last year? If my goal is to own a 2-story home in the Hamptons, okay, what's the inflation rate of Hamptons? Exactly. Very limited asset. What's your lifestyle? What's your inflation target? Okay, well, I want to live this lifestyle. Okay, well, you better grow your money at 25% compound annually. What's a great way to do that? Real estate. Honestly, with the triple header of leverage returns, cash flow, and principal paydown, most properties I see at 3 to 4% appreciation over 25 years will generate 25 to 30% compound annual wealth generation. That's on a easy, like not even a great deal, just an average deal for a cash flowing property like in Windsor. Now, it's not the only way, but it's probably your best foundation.
Yeah.
And do the life insurance.
Yeah. I mean,
buy some Bitcoin, do some stocks, but
yeah,
the foundation is real estate.
The opportunity will start to seek you once you get your first foot in the door. And that's the crucial part. But that first step does really hurt. Like breaking that, it's like killing your old middle class self. Like it feels like that. And it's like, I remember
I was going to say, sorry, this is really important. But when people go to take that first step, I did this as well, is I sought approval. I really want to buy real estate. And I sought approval from my close social network and my friends and family. And none of them ever bought any real estate. So what do you think they told me?
No, don't do it.
I heard this war story. This guy had a bad experience with a tenant. And when I finally learned, it delayed me over a year. When I finally learned, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
They held me back. And then what happened when I started buying my own real estate? They started coming to me. Oh, how'd you do that? Oh, I want to buy real estate. Oh, I should have listened to you. But when I was talking about it, I had no credibility, so nobody listened to me.
Exactly.
They just talked me out of it. So I see that mistake over and over again. If you're going to go down this path, watch who you talk to. Come talk to somebody like myself or Matt or other people that have done it. Don't talk to your people that are living a life that you're trying to get out of, because they're going to talk.
You really, yeah, that's exactly.
I don't know if like you have the same thing with like your family.
I did. And I still do. And it's just you have to become. It's the same emotions you have to get over investing in the stock market, because yourself will try to tell you the exact same things your family members, because you're locked into that category, almost the middle class, the poor. Yeah, I mean, I still, people will tell me, how are you, like, life insurance is not an investment, and I agree. I don't think life insurance is an investment. I use it as a banking tool. And they'll say, oh, like, Matt, you can't, you're only 19 or 20 now. I just turned 20. Matt, you're only 20. You can't get into real estate. But there's people who are out there doing it, and they're younger than me. And there's always someone getting ahead. It's just about, surrounding yourself with people who are thinking like you and want to go get to where you're going, or sorry, going, they're going to, for me, it's like building a mastermind group. Having someone I can call on who's going to motivate me to get to where I want to go. Most people surround themselves with people less smarter than them and less ambitious, and that just kills their inner drive to do anything.
Yeah, so true, man. Like, you want to be poor, hang around with poor people and do what poor people do, which is waste their money, gamble, spend it on liabilities, and have no long-term vision. You want to be in class, do what the middle class people do. And there's nothing wrong with any of these positions. Middle class had a lot of nice things for me. I had a lot of time off. I had less stress. I didn't work as much. But if you want to be in the middle class, do what middle class do. Pay off your mortgage, go to work, save a little bit of money, go on one trip a year. That's cool. No problem. You want to be in the wealthy category, financially free category, you got to do what the wealthy people do, which is continually put your money to work. You got to continually beat inflation. And inflation is, man, it's such a deceitful thing. People think
it's probably over 12%. We just don't know it. Like, if you're really relating to the things you want to buy in life.
Yes. Yeah. And even in the good years, right, when inflation's obvious now. Most people didn't even know what inflation was until what's happening right now, because it's our lifetime. We haven't really seen this for most of us. In the good times, your 2% core inflation is probably 4 to 5% for other like asset inflation and great real estate inflation, or baseball card inflation, or like limit, inflation rate on a Picasso, or whatever other thing, right? I bet it wasn't 2%. I saw a LeBron James freaking card just sold for 2.2 million or something, right? Like, I wonder what it was 5 years ago. So don't be fooled by inflation. You have to outpace inflation, or you're only breaking even. So if people have their money in the bank making 2% interest in a bond or something like that, and the rate's 2%, okay, you're breaking even. You're not getting ahead. And here, another thing too, like, oh, I'm getting a raise. I used to get raises at my old job, right? 2% a year, 1.8, 1.6, 1.4 over 3 years. Oh, I went from 80 grand to 95 grand. Oh my God, I didn't understand inflation. I actually thought I was killing it. But my buying power never went up. I could still only do one trip a year. I could still, I saved the exact same amount of money. Why? Because my rent went up. My mortgage payment went up. My taxes went up. My car insurance went up. My hydro. Everything went, I didn't know.
And here's the problem I
didn't know.
Yeah. And here's the problem with our economy right now. Inflation's going up, but wages are staying the same. So
I think, wages are going up, but they're not going up at the rate of inflation, not even close.
Yeah. It's just delaying a lot longer than the inflation rates are. They're saying,
it's not even close. Yeah. Most people are getting a 2% raise. Like, if you're in a government job, you'll be lucky to get 2%. Businesses are like, oh yeah, we know inflation's out of control. It's a competitive labor market. So maybe they'll give you 3-4%. They're still way below inflation. You said posted in core inflation.
Yeah.
We'll try to buy a house.
Yeah.
Prices are coming down, but rates are going up. I heard the qualifying rate right now is like 6.25 or 6.5% to qualify for mortgage, because they take the higher of like the prime rate and plus is 3% or something like that. So the qualifying rate, like, you can't even qualify for anything now.
Yeah.
So the prices are coming down, but affordability is even worse.
Yeah.
You still can't buy a house.
And the rich are always going to get richer. And I'm pretty sure they're thinking about raising the what is it called? The first time home buyers incentive. Like, you have to put down a 5 or more than 5%. I don't know. You would know more. I have to ask about that, but I haven't
heard that. I know for like investment properties, they're talking about a couple things. One, not being able to use your home equity line of credit to fund it.
Wow.
And number two, increasing the down payment for an investment property for like a third or fourth property, whatever. So instead of 20% down, you might have to do 30 or 35.
Yeah. See, it will make the rich richer because the people who are just getting in won't, the rich will already be there, putting that 50% down right away, right?
And here's another thing for people that own, like I own 5+ properties, so I'm already qualifying for commercial. Like when I go to the bank, I can't get residential mortgages. They're saying, well, you have to get commercial mortgages. Well, guess what? Commercial mortgage, you need 30% down, and my rates are already higher. So I'm already accustomed to it. So you're right. It's like, and I have 10 properties to pull equity from. So I can put down 35% if I want. So you're right. That's why the rich always win. The rules that are put in place typically are to appease the middle class and make them seem like they're doing something as politicians.
Yeah.
But the rich always win because the rules are always in favor of them.
Yeah. Well, and also even if they're not, they find a way around them.
Yes.
And the middle class feel like they're crushed.
I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, you take away the 1031 exchange in the US, I won't sell my property. Then there's less liquidity in the market. Properties don't trade as much, prices go up. Rents go up. So like when you own assets, you win in almost any environment, right? You almost always win. Okay, so now prices are coming down because they're raising rates. Okay, well now I can go buy properties and I need to, where the property was $1 million, whatever, let's say 700 grand, it means they need 140 grand. Okay, well now that property's 500 grand. Oh, only 100 grand down. Now I can buy 2 properties. I'm always, because I know the game, I can always find a way to win, right? I just spin it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know the rules of the game, that they're always, whatever rule they put in is against you because you're playing by the middle class rules.
Mm-hmm.
The game is completely stacked against you. You're taxed the most. You have no tax breaks. You have no corporation. You have no write-offs.
Yeah.
You're in a 48% tax bracket for your earned income.
Mm-hmm.
Then you pay HST on everything you buy. Like literally, most people's disposable income is probably 7% of what they actually earn because of all the.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt less. I think it's actually less, because people have to go in debt. Like recently, people are going in debt to get to like their basic needs. It's so sad. Like it's crazy. And I mean, I've been talking to people and it's really insane. People don't realize how prevalent debt is in young people's life now more than ever. And it lasts for 30 years because how expensive things are and they just can't keep up. And
I know doctors.
They're using the middle class games mindset. So it traps them even more. So yeah, like once, getting out quick of that mindset is very important, but not understanding the more you stay in that game and just say, I'm just going to live comfortably, it's going to make you even more uncomfortable staying there. So you lose either or, like you lose either way. You either, life could be hard because you take that risk and you try to do something new, try to escape, or it could be extremely hard because you stay comfortable thinking that it's comfortable, but it's just an illusion. So yeah.
True. And most like relationships, marriages end because of money.
Yeah. People
because of money, they don't have enough money. They're not happy because they can't, they're always feeling constrained or they're living check to check. So not that money will make you happy, but it is a big deal. And like you said, you either risk by making moves or you risk by doing nothing. And most people see the risk of doing nothing, but the risk is real. Very real of doing nothing.
Beauty. I think we're going to end it there, eh? That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we ran a little bit over, but really appreciate you having me on, man. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, awesome, man. I think the title will be How to Get Rich Slow with Scott Innocente.
Yes, love it. We'll get 10 times less the views, but the people that watch it will likely get something out of it.
Take action, guys.